Time travel is one of humanity's most tantalizing what-ifs. It's an idea that has fascinated philosophers, physicists, and storytellers for centuries, blending equal parts science, speculation, and sheer wonder. If it were possible, our understanding of cause and effect, history, and even personal identity could be reshaped entirely. But beneath the thrilling fantasy of leaping into the past or future lies a labyrinth of paradoxes, branching realities, and profound consequences that would ripple through history like stones cast into a still pond. At its core, time travel challenges the most fundamental assumption we hold, that time flows in one direction. Physics, particularly Einstein's theory of relativity, already complicates this picture by showing that time can be experienced differently depending on speed and gravity. In principle, relativity allows time dilation, the ability to move into the future faster than those who remain stationary. But true time travel, as most people imagine it, the ability to step backward or forward to any moment in history, requires something more exotic, like wormholes, closed time-like curves, or hypothetical particles called tachyons. Let's assume, for argument's sake, that the technical hurdles have been solved. The instant we open that door, we face a storm of logical, physical, and ethical challenges. One of the most famous obstacles is the grandfather paradox. It's a deceptively simple thought experiment. Suppose you travel back in time and prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother. In doing so, you would never be born, and therefore you couldn't have traveled back to change history in the first place. This leads to a logical impossibility, a loop in causation with no consistent resolution. Some propose that the universe might enforce a kind of self-consistency principle, as suggested by physicist Igor Novikov. In this model, any action you take in the past was always part of history. You could go back and meet your grandfather, perhaps even try to interfere, but events would conspire to prevent you from altering the key outcomes. You might accidentally become the very reason your grandparents met in the first place, thereby preserving history in a strange, predestined way. But not all theorists are satisfied with self-consistency. Another possibility is the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. In this view, every decision, event, or interference creates a branching timeline, a new universe that diverges from the original. In the grandfather paradox scenario, you could kill your grandfather without erasing your own existence, because you'd simply shift into a parallel timeline where you were never born, while your original universe remains intact. This solution elegantly sidesteps logical contradictions but introduces another wild implication. Each trip through time could create an entirely new branch of reality. Every alteration, rescuing a historical figure, preventing a war, or simply stepping on the wrong insect, could spawn a chain of alternate histories, each evolving independently. Over time, the multiverse could become an incomprehensibly vast tree of diverging timelines, some eerily similar to our own, others unimaginably alien. The possibility of alternate timelines raises thorny questions about morality and responsibility. If you can jump between universes, are you truly changing your past, or are you just creating new worlds while leaving the original untouched? If you save millions of lives in one branch but doom them in another, have you done good or harm? These dilemmas blur the lines between heroism and recklessness. And if every choice spawns a new reality, then history becomes less a fixed record and more a sprawling web without a single true version. Even without paradoxes, the historical consequences of time travel would be staggering. Imagine a world where historians don't just study ancient Rome, they visit it. Archaeologists could walk among the pyramids while they were still gleaming with polished limestone, linguists could hear extinct languages spoken by native speakers, and biologists could observe long-extinct species in their natural habitats. The potential for knowledge is boundless. But so is the potential for disaster. A traveler from the future might unintentionally introduce modern microbes to the past, wiping out civilizations before they could rise. Or conversely, they could bring back ancient pathogens to the present, triggering pandemics unlike anything we faced. The political implications are equally vast. Governments would race to control time travel technology, turning it into the ultimate weapon. Instead of fighting battles in the present, nations could sabotage each other's histories, assassinating leaders before they rose to power or altering the outcomes of wars. The concept of national security would be meaningless if your enemies could simply rewrite your past. In such a world, the Cold War might have been fought not with nuclear missiles, but with time incursions, each side constantly rewriting history in an endless temporal arms race. Then there's the human temptation to fix personal regrets. Who wouldn't be tempted to revisit their own past to undo mistakes, rekindle relationships, or seize missed opportunities? But these personal edits could spiral out of control. Changing one event could ripple into countless others, the so-called butterfly effect, where small alterations snowball into massive changes over time. You might return to the present only to find it unrecognizable. Loved ones gone, cultures transformed, even the laws of physics subtly altered if you meddled too far back. From a philosophical perspective, time travel forces us to reconsider the nature of free will. If the future can be visited, does that mean it's already determined? If the past can be altered, does that mean nothing is fixed? Some argue that the very existence of time travel would prove that all of history, past, present, and future, exists simultaneously, and our perception of now is just our consciousness moving along a predetermined path. Others hold that the future is not yet written, and time travel merely allows us to explore possibilities, not certainties. There's also the deeply unsettling possibility that time travelers are already among us. If time travel is possible at any point in the future, why wouldn't visitors have already come back? Some argue that they might be here, hidden either by choice or by strict regulations preventing interference. Others suggest that travel into the past might be limited to the moment the time machine is invented, meaning no one could visit before that point. And of course, there's the cheeky possibility that UFO sightings, mysterious historical anomalies, and strange artifacts are all subtle evidence of time tourists, just discreet enough to keep the rest of us guessing. Ultimately, the idea of time travel, while exhilarating, reveals more about our own hopes, fears, and values than it does about the physics of space-time. We dream of going back to undo tragedies, of skipping ahead to a brighter future, or of exploring the great unknown chapters of history firsthand. But as soon as we imagine actually holding that power, the enormity of the risks becomes clear. Paradoxes challenge our logic, alternate timelines shatter the concept of a singular reality, and the historical consequences could be more destructive than any weapon ever conceived. If time travel were possible, it wouldn't just change our relationship to time, it would change our relationship to truth, responsibility, and the very fabric of existence. The past would no longer be a fixed foundation, but a shifting landscape subject to human whims. The future would lose its mystery, becoming something we could peek at, manipulate, or even steal from. And the present? It might become less a moment in which we live, and more a junction from which infinite paths radiate, each one just a time jump away. Perhaps the final paradox of time travel is this: even if it's possible, the wisest choice might be not to use it at all.